Hi, it's Mike Clark here, and leading up to the launch of the RevSales system, I wanted to share with you a bit more about who I am and how the RevSales system came into creation in the first place, as well as the highs and lows of my career, so you can learn some valuable lessons and insights from that, which you can apply immediately. But before I do that, I just wanted to also share with you some little elements about me that makes me, me. And you'll see on the first slide that I have here, my fiance, that's the person in the goggles in the background there. She is from South Africa, and in the last trip that we were out there just recently, when we were preparing for our wedding, we went shark cage diving, and it's the most unreal experience in the world. And you'll notice there that we've got a picture of a great white there. That's a shot that I actually took with my own camera, and and we're out there preparing for the wedding, and you'll see in the bottom right hand corner there is my in-laws or outlaws. No, definitely in-laws. We have a great time. And the reason why I start with this is because um, just recently I got engaged, and this was just before I proposed, actually, that photo that you're seeing there. And this was a very special time in my life, and I wanted to start with this because it leads. The reason why I got engaged and everything in this moment of my life is one of the catalysts which started me to get in, or inspired me to get into business in the first place. I want to share that story with you because really it's the first beginnings of where the RevSales system started. And recently, it was in May 2010, I actually took my fiance out to Cinque Terre in Italy, and I actually was there 10 years previously. And I actually said to my best friend, who were traveling around around Italy and the Middle East, etc., together, I said to him at that time, I said, mate, I'm going to bring back my ideal woman, my dream woman, and I'm going to propose to her one day. And sure enough, true to my word, about 10 years later, I actually brought my fiance Alma there, and I'd actually been planning it for about 18 months before I actually asked her, so I could get the timing right. And that was just before before I popped the question. Geez, tell you what, I'm sure there's many of you listening that have been through that process, but for the guys, I'm looking pretty cool, calm, and collected there. But I can tell you now, under the surface, I was edgy because that was literally just before I asked the question. It's a walk called the Lovers Walk, and you take them from one town in Cinque Terre to another. There's 5 towns that are nestled against the cliff face, and there's a little beautiful walk that's there, and there's a sunset was coming down just as I dropped on my knee, and I was very nervous at that point. And you see the other picture there, that's one of the towns there that in Cinque Terre. So it's a gorgeous place, and and essentially what we're doing at the end of the year is we're getting married in Stellenbosch, because that's where my fiance is from, and so that's just north of Cape Town in South Africa. And this is actually the venue of where we'll be getting married. So we've got family and friends flying from around the world to meet us there. And again, the reason I share this with you is because when I first started out in business, I actually had a couple tough years, and I reached the point where I actually read a few books, and I reached the point where I said, you know what, I'm going to become a world-class business owner and entrepreneur. And in that moment, I made a commitment, and I started writing out a list of 100 goals. And number one goal on my list was actually to become, financially well off and stable and create a global business so that I could provide for my family. So, this element of me getting married right now is a very special time in my life. And I wanted to share that with you because it's something which really is one of the catalysts behind why I do what I do. And I think everyone has those sort of similar visions and goals themselves, is about to provide a livelihood and be able to pass it on to others, particularly the ones closest to you, such as your family. So this is a very special moment for me in my life, and I just wanted to share that with you because it was as a result of making that commitment at a very early stage in my career that I then decided to get into sales. And so that was really the beginning of the RevSales system. And obviously I'm not from the UK, so this is my hometown, the Gold Coast. You'll see there on the top left-hand corner. And it was around 2005 where I made a commitment to master sales and selling after I had a couple terrible years in business. It was really tough. And what changed everything is when I really made the commitment to be master sales. Afterwards, I realized that even though I'd made the commitment, I struggled. I was a terrible salesperson to begin with. And what helped change that and transform my situation, my results, where I went from being the worst salesperson in the business to the top salesperson, earning well into 10 figures a month, 10 figures, it was over 10 grand a month at the time, Aussie dollars. And what helped change that is I surrounded myself with other influential business people, people who I could go to for advice on sales and marketing. So that's the first piece of advice I'd have for anyone who's looking to master sales and selling, is surround yourself with talented people who you can learn from. People who you can go to and ask for advice, troubleshoot your objections, show them how to, ask them to show you how to close a deal, etc. And pretty much what happened in 2005 is that I joined this company, Triumphant Events, and we, as a result of applying what was the embryonic stages of the RevSales system, we applied that to a business in Australia. We turned it into Australia's fastest growing franchise company in 2005, and we went from literally from 1 million turnover to 11 million turnover in 12 months, all because we had a structured sales process in place. We did such a good job that we did ourselves out of a business opportunity. They couldn't sustain the growth, and hence why we actually transferred the business to the UK. We actually had the opportunity to take up a speaker and to launch them here in the United Kingdom, and that's what happened in 2006. Which brings me here today. And shortly after that, we had several successes where we actually used the RevSales system, the embryonic stages of what it looked like. It's now much more advanced, but we used that same process, the same principles, and applied it to multiple business launches. Many of the launches went from 0 to 1 million turnover within 12 months or less. If you saw the interview or read the transcription of my friend Daniel Priestley recently, you would have heard some of the deeper insight regarding how we did that specifically. But then in 2007, I actually launched a business with Inside Triumphant, and what I did there is I actually managed a sales team of 10 people. I grew a sales team of 10 people. Is that I trained them for about three weeks leading up to this to the launch of the business, and literally in the first month we had a turnover of from standing start to over £100,000 revenue in the first month. Sounded great, sounds terrific. However, disaster struck. I can say it now with a smile on my face, but it was a very tough period to go to afterwards. You see, what happened is that I was very good at being able to show my team how to make the sale in the first place. However, for anyone who's grown a sales team, what you'll realize is that in the sales industry there tends to be a lot of churn. A lot of people come in, you've got to test people, those who swim stay in the business, those who sink and can't partake or don't hit minimum standards, then obviously it's not going to work out and you part ways. So what happened is that I did such a poor job of being able to leverage myself and my training capacity that I got so consumed with training new people as they were coming on board to sustain the growth that we had, that it took my eye completely off the ball of running the business and finding new ways to drive in new business. It was a very important lesson that I learned, and it really meant that from after going to 100 grand the next month, sales dived completely to like 10 or 15,000. It was. It stayed that way for a couple months, and I had to get back on the phones and do the sales activity myself. So it was a very harsh lesson to go through, and actually there's a few lessons I wanted to share with you from that, 3 lessons in particular. If you have a pen and paper, jot these down. I highly recommend it. And feel free to leave a comment below as well. I'd love to have a conversation with you about some of these lessons or anything else that stands out with you from what we're going through now. But number 1 is that fundamentally you have to learn how to sell your products and services confidently. Now that may seem pretty obvious, okay, but if you're just starting out in sales, or if you're in business, and a lot of people who are perfect for the RevSales system are people who are struggling with confidence issues, or not feeling certain on how to close the deal, ask for the business, don't know how to overcome objections, etc. These can be really soul destroying encounters when you don't make the sale. And so you really have to learn how to sell your products confidently, number 1. That's the first step. And I could do that, and I did that effectively with my team and got them to do that as well. But the second thing is you must have a documented sales process in place. And what I mean by that is you need to have a step-by-step process for when a lead comes into the business. You need to know and be able to train your team in terms of what are the presentation you need to give when they just are into the business, how do you book in an appointment with them, and then how do you close the deal afterwards, and do it in a seamless way where you can measure your activity at each step of the process. And so, particularly when I talk about documented there, you need to make sure that you have scripts, you have presentations, you have a way to design presentations again and again and modify them so that you can track your activity and so that you can sell other products and services as well as you evolve. And the system side is really important to measure what you're doing at each step. You need to be able to know that your conversion rates at each step of the process. The reason that's important is because this is how you begin to then, first of all, manage yourself if you're by yourself in a business. Okay, you need to be able to know how much activity you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to hit your targets. You need to know that for yourself. But then, secondly, once you want to expand your business, you can then and move to high leverage activities, such as driving more leads into the business, joint ventures, etc. You then need to be able to have a way to train your sales team. And this was the real critical mistake that I made in the story that I just shared with you, because I was very good at training my team, but I did such a bad job of leveraging the training program, which meant every time a salesperson came on board in the business, guess who had to train them? I did. And I got very good at recruiting people, but at the same time I was very poor at being able to train them effectively in a leverage format. So fundamentally, these elements are what consist of the RevSales system. The program is designed with these elements all in place, so you can have leverage, you can gain confidence to say your products and services, as well as then have a documented way to process and in place. Beg my pardon there, but I thought there were three key lessons which I'm sure you might find some are more relevant than others for you, but I'd be curious to get your feedback on that. And shortly afterwards, what happened is that I started to I was building the sales team within Triumphant. I then secured more clients by working with an organization called Rockstar. And Rockstar is a client now that I've been working with for about 2.5 years, coming up 3 years. And at that stage, they were like many businesses who I now work with in private clients. And essentially, their challenge was that the owner of the business is someone who is a very great salesperson. And however, he was the bottleneck in the business because he was the one doing the sales, growing the mentoring side of the business, doing the lead generation and everything. I noticed the business, I loved the opportunity and said, listen, how about we provide the sales opportunity for you, or the sales systems and structure for you. As a result of being able to stand in and oversee the sales process and recruiting a salesperson, training them on the RevSales system, what happened is that business went from a low four-figure a month revenue to a very strong, solid 5-figure a month revenue. And the owner of the company has asked me not to reveal the precise figures, so that's why I'm using the digits there. But literally, we saw within a very short period of time, a number of months, it was less than 5 months, we saw a 660% increase of revenue. And most importantly, the owner of the business was the one, he was not involved in selling the products and services. And now, to this day, we still have a salesperson in place who knows how to be able to give us monthly reports, monthly and weekly reports, measuring the conversion rates for different lead sources that we have in the business, knowing how effective which lead sources are and which lead sources aren't, and which are a waste of our time. And to this day, that salesperson is still being able to operate within the business with very little input from myself. And the same has happened within Triumphant Events. And now, once I've implemented this into businesses, what happens is the sales process becomes so clearly defined that people know how to make sales on a regular basis with far less of your impact. And there's never going to be without your impact at all, or your input, but with far less input from yourself. And so what happened in these two businesses is that I realized that they were now self-sustaining. So what that meant is that these businesses could focus on the higher leverage areas of their business. And suddenly the penny dropped for me. I realized, hang on, a lot of businesses want to get to that level in their business. However, they lack the knowledge and know how to do so. So this is how the RevSales system over the last 12 to 18 months has come about. And now I've been applying this more frequently in businesses, working with an accountancy firm at the moment, working with different practitioners, physiotherapists, working with property agents as well, property companies. So we're now applying it in a multitude of businesses and creating a very structured format for them. And so essentially that brings us to the here and now and today, and why I'm launching this business. I'm not launching, I'm relaunching the call it a scalable version of the RevSales system, because I've tracked back and I've literally done the numbers. It's 8.732498 pound sales. I just know the number. It's 8,732,000 etc. sales that it has made in small businesses across Australia and here in the UK. It is being held, and the RevSales system has been used exclusively by a small handful of businesses. And now for the first time, we're going to be taking this product out to market. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be launching the RevSales system, and I'll be looking to work with a limited number of businesses who I can work with and help them to achieve results that I've just shared with you. So if you're quick to act when we do launch the program, you'll be able to work with me and a small number of other business owners, and we'll be walking you through step by step of how you apply the RevSales system into your business so you can achieve similar results to some of the stories I've shared with you so far. And most importantly, you'll be able to learn from some of the mistakes that I've had along the way so that you can avoid those mistakes. There'll be guarantees included in this because I know the system works. It's been tried, tested, and proven again and again. So thanks for tuning in, and before we just wrap things up, I just want to give you a quick understanding of what's coming next. Before we do launch the Rev system, I want to be able to share with you one more video, and this video is going to be an interesting one and very useful one as well, because what I've learned over the last number of years that I've been working with so many different businesses to apply sales systems into their companies is that there's some classic mistakes business owners make when they're either solopreneurs or when they've got a sales team on board. I'll be sharing with you those classic mistakes that people make, more importantly what you can do to avoid them, but also what are the elements that must be contained in your sales process. So whether you decide to work with us here at Rev or not, regardless, the content that I'll be sharing with you in that video will be really instrumental to guiding you and showing you what are the important elements that must be contained in your business, in your sales process, so that sales can be a thriving environment. So with all that being said, I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, and it's been a lot of fun preparing this and sharing it with you. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback, and I'd love to be able to find out exactly what sort of comments you have, and I'll be able to interact with you and ask some questions, so feel free to do so just below. And until next time, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.